This is the Dat Bike Quantum S3. But before we dive into this review, there is something I want to check first, which requires the cameraman. This is the key. To turn it on, you swipe here. So this is now on. I can drive away like this, but to turn this bike off, you also need to swipe here. If you don't swipe here, it has a timeout time of about 1 minute. So what I'm wondering is, without the key, now that the bike is on, can I drive off? So I'm going to go put the key over there. So I've got no key. If I'm a thief, can I drive this bike? Yes. So this is the same problem that you have with the Honda magnetic keys, but once the bike is on, anyone can walk up to the bike and drive it, even if you've walked off. So if you don't turn the bike off, when you pull up to Family Mart or whatever, someone within a 1 minute window, wherever you've gone, someone can jump on the bike and drive off. Super strange, right? So every time you stop the bike, you have to turn it off. So I'm gonna give that a minus point. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of this bike. Vietnam, July 2026, say in certain parts of the cities, petrol bikes are no longer going to be allowed. So the e-bike is a real thing that's coming to Vietnam now. Hilariously, there's only 2 companies that properly supply them. That is VinFast and Dat Bike. VinFast, so far, have been an absolute joke of a company. According to the Extra Mile, which is a company that does e-bikes and where I've got this from to borrow, thank you very much to those guys. So at the moment, at least, Dat Bike is kind of the only solution you have. What's Honda and stuff doing? I'll make a whole video about that. So this bike here, I'm happy to say, is a really, really awesome bike. And if I was living and working in the cities here, I would probably be buying one of these as my own personal bike. When I made a video a couple of years ago about the VinFast series, I said I'll only consider this if it becomes as good as a Honda Airblade. A Honda Airblade is basically the bike that every single Vietnamese household owns, automatic scooter. I'm happy to say that I think this is now as good as a Honda Airblade. Right, so it's got a advertised range of 200 kilometers, which is a very, very long way, the S3. The S1, which is not this one, same frame and all that, goes advertised 270 kilometers. I would love to put that to the test, but I just don't have the time on my hands. Either way, this bike will easily get you around the city for several days before you have to charge it up. What we have here, I'll walk you through the dashboard. We basically have the kilometers, how fast we're going. You've got 1 charge, which apparently means how many kilometers are left on the current charge. You've then got some temperatures, the battery percentage left, and a number in the bottom right-hand corner, which I haven't figured out what the difference is between these two. But there we go. Parking mode, and then you've got kickstand up, press the button once, press it twice, sorry. Sports mode, and driving mode, sports and driving. Driving mode basically, to me, is about 110 cc of power. It's more than enough for most people. And then sports mode, you're going up to maybe like a 125. Neither, in my opinion, are rocket ships, but both are fine. It's also got a reverse mode. So brakes on, hit the button twice, and you can now reverse, which is pretty hilarious. For me, this is a party trick, but I suppose if you're one of these people who actually struggles to reverse a bike, it's quite a cool feature to have. It's got disc brakes on the front and on the back. The brakes on this bike are probably better than any other scooter I've ever driven, like really 100% now. You've got proper tires on both the front and the back, almost like a motorbike. So this is not really a scooter. This is coming somewhere in between a scooter and a motorbike in terms of the setup of disc brakes, the suspension, the tires. It's impressive, actually. To go along with that, so most scooters for my weight, 100 kilograms, when I sit on them, the front suspension will collapse entirely. But on this, it actually doesn't. So I have suspension going around the city. First scooter I've ever driven that has that. Okay, so we got real suspension from my perspective, the first time ever in this country. It's got a chain and sprocket. That is super unique. So what's the difference between a belt and a chain and sprocket? The main difference from what I understand is chain and sprockets are better at dealing with high load. So in other words, they're put on high performance motorbikes. Whereas scooters get away with a belt system because they don't have as much power, they're not putting the bike under as much strain, right? From my perspective, as a motorbike guy, having a chain and sprocket is really good because I know what the condition is. I can see that with my own eyes. I know when I should change it. Whereas a belt is always buried in the motorbike. You have to get a mechanic to check it. And frankly, most mechanics have no idea whether a belt is new or old. They wait for it to snap first. The downside to the chain and sprocket is it's kind of higher maintenance. You have to lube it, you have to tighten it, all that kind of thing. And apparently, this bike out of the box, when you buy it new, the chain and sprocket set's really crap and makes a lot of noise. This is according to the Extra Mile, the owner of this bike. And so the first thing they did was change the chain and sprocket, and now it's nice and quiet, good quality one. So as a motorbike guy, chain and sprocket's awesome for me. But if you're a scooter person, chain and sprocket might not be the ideal solution for you. I think that bike have done it because it's probably cheaper to develop that tech, and also the bike will be more capable long distance because of a chain and sprocket than a belt system, and I reckon that's the way they're going. It's also one of the reasons I'm so excited about this bike and their sort of series. Okay, let's talk about the seat. So to open the seat, you basically have to press the on button for 2 seconds. 1, 2, pops the seat. And again, this is the first e-bike that I've seen that has real trunk space. This is huge. So I said I would never buy an e-bike until it can compete side by side with a Honda Airblade. And this is one of the factors that you need to compete with an Airblade, under the seat space. Bam, it's here. So you charge it up with this. I haven't done it yet, but I'll record it in a minute. And they advertise, I think it was a 4-hour charge time. This is one of the bikes where you can't take the battery out. So this is only going to work for you if you own a house where you can plug it into a normal socket in your house and then run it to the motorbike, or an apartment that is catering to this kind of thing. At the moment, this e-bike thing is new to Vietnam, and most apartments wouldn't allow for this. You can ask them, what are they going to charge you? I have no idea. So this is all unknown territory. As I said, the S1 can go and advertise 280 kilometers. If this is true, then we could actually rent this to Hanoi and come up with a scheme with hotels about ways to charge the bike, and maybe you tip 50k. So this is all the things buzzing through my mind at the moment. It's getting very, very close to being a real thing. But as a city bike, to get around town as a replacement for an Airblade, all this sort of stuff, go for it. This is actually the next step that you should probably be buying, in my eyes. Right, so driving. 125cc in my eyes in sports mode. E-bikes are different, or dat bike e-bikes are different, at least. When you hit the brakes, you have roughly a 1 second delay in throttle time. So you hit the brakes, put the throttle down, 1 second delay, then the bike goes. Again, as a motorbike guy, where I'm always on the brakes, that's how you drive properly, really. This is a super weird thing to get used to, and I'm finding that I hit the brake, tap the brakes, 1 second delay, and it's very awkward for me. But it's nothing that I can't learn, it's just different. And I'll find that in particular with like tight U-turns, doing U-turns in the road where I'll slam on the brakes, look to my left, do a U-ey, and I suddenly find there's no throttle, and that will cause me to over tilt the bike and have to put my feet down. Off the mark, so when you're at traffic lights, again, you put the throttle down, nothing happens, super sluggish to get going. I'd almost put it down at the 50cc category off the mark, and then once it's going, you get like 10 kilometers an hour, the thing just buzzes away. So the idea that this is rocket speed is complete nonsense. This is slow as off the mark. Once it's going, it's quick. And that's both in sports mode and normal driving mode. Nothing that you can't get used to. And I am an extremely aggressive rider. Most people just duallying around town wouldn't even notice this kind of thing. What else can I say about this bike? Loving the brakes. The lights are really good, slightly strange, like on and off is here. On is, it's like in reverse. This is on, this is off, but whatever. Your usual indicators, horn, high and low beam there. Charging's down here, yeah. Charger's there. We'll do the charging in a minute. So to wrap this video up, is this a good bike? Yes. Would I buy this bike? Yes. Would I buy this bike over a petrol scooter? Yes. So we're there now. That's all happened. You can rent this bike from the Extra Mile. What I would say is check your situation with your apartment, whether you can actually charge this thing up, because if you can't get access to a plug, this is not going to work for you. So should you buy an e-bike in Vietnam right now? Like, what you need to know is that it's coming. The government here is literally forcing it down everyone's throats. Only two companies, VinFast and that bike. Where is Honda, Yamaha, and all the major brands? I'll talk about that in a sec. But what you need to know is the technology is changing so fast here. And as a country, they haven't figured out yet, are we doing removable batteries? Are we doing batteries that are in the bike and you have charging stations everywhere? Or they're talking about battery swapping services where you can like go on the side of a road, pay $1 and switch out your battery for another one. None of this has been decided. This is why you're not seeing the big brands like Honda and stuff sort of coming out all guns blazing despite the government's announcements. What we've seen from VinFast, which is the main player in this space, they released a bunch of bikes, changed the battery technology. The first model of bike, the battery now doesn't exist, you can't buy it, so what you have is a piece of scrap metal. The Extra Mile, the company trying to do these e-bikes, got completely screwed because they had a fleet of bikes that they can't replace a battery on, all scrap metal. That's a real thing to consider. That bike, I understand, this particular one, they've been better at supporting their older models, but we're super early days. You buy this bike if you want to be ahead of the curve, even though the curve's changing, and you're willing to accept the reality that if battery technology changes suddenly, which it can in this country, you're on your own. You've lost your money. Is this as good as a petrol bike, like an Airblade and all that sort of stuff? The answer is yes. In the city, it is. The running costs are probably going to be cheaper, all that kind of stuff. For traveling, need to get the 280 kilometer version, the S1, and actually test it properly. City driving, this is so awesome. And then get used to the slight nuances and quirks of e-bikes, with the way they're slightly different to drive. All for it, love it, recommend it. Go rent one if you're living in the city. And for me, it's one step closer to seeing where we're going to go with e-bike rentals across the entire country. So this is the DAT bike, Quantum S3 e-bike. Tap down here to turn it on with the keycard system. Parking. Hit on to go to sports, just normal drive mode. Sport it is. Let's go. So I have been driving this around a bit actually already. So I do know roughly what I'm doing. So what's the difference between drive and sport? Not a great deal, if I'm honest. The initial pickup with the sport is slightly faster. By pickup, I mean acceleration there, like that. In normal drive mode, which I've now switched into, it's a little bit slower. To your average person, both modes are fine. No major difference in my eyes. We go left here. But where this bike is interesting is it's really quick when it's going. It's super slow off the mark. You see that? I'll show you later with a bit more detail. Whoop, I wasn't looking at the traffic lights. 66 seconds. Anyway, we're in sports mode. And what I want you to watch is my right hand and how slow we are off the mark. 3, 2, 1, and max power. Oh, that was quite good. Slow, and now we're going. So that was actually quite good for this bike. It's inconsistent, I think is what I would say. Now, the other thing that I've struggled with these sorts of bikes, this is nitpicking. This bike is great. But when you hit the brakes, I'm a very jittery driver, hit the brakes. So I'm going to hit the brakes and watch my right hand and watch how long it takes for the bike to kick back into action. Okay, brakes. See that? At least a second, maybe even a second and a half delay. Brakes, go. Brakes, gas, go. Oh, that was me. But for jittery drivers, you could call that user error, I suppose. But for jittery drivers like me, it's super weird and hard to get used to. Whereas a petrol bike would just straight away go. Brakes, gas, go. So switch that into drive mode. Brakes, gas, brakes, gas. Harder brakes, let's do harder. More jittery. Brakes, gas, go. Yeah, it's super weird to me. But it's nitpicking, I could get used to it. So that's the other thing. If we now stop at some fake traffic lights, right, again, watch this. I wouldn't call that quick. And that, again, I think it wasn't bad for this bike. I've had it where it's way worse. I think sometimes it's because I naturally hover on the brakes. Maybe that's what's causing it. Okay. It's a second. I think when I'm driving in traffic, I'm hovering on the brakes a little bit. It's the way I've always driven. It's the way you should drive, really. But on these e-bikes, it's either brakes or no brakes. There's no such thing as hovering. So I'm just wondering that if when I'm in normal traffic, that looks fun. They've opened that road up. If maybe me slightly hovering the brakes is causing the throttle response delays. Yeah, it's as soon as you hit the brakes, gas. As soon as you hit the brakes, you have a 1 second pause before the throttle will work again. So as you can, brakes go. If you can imagine as a jittery driver, that's quite awkward to get used to. Like, quick tap of the brakes, go. Yeah. Anyway, I love this bike, it's awesome. It's just nitpicking me there, nitpicking, and I'm trying to figure out if it's me or the bike. So another feature I think is quite amusing is reverse park. So brakes, double hit the on button, and now the throttle will make you go backwards. For me, this is a bit of a party trick. Oh, there's a car coming up behind me. And I've got my feet down right now, which you can't see. I'm wondering if I can do this with my feet up. That's really, no I can't. So that needs practice. Look, if you're a small rider and you struggle with reversing with your feet like this, maybe quite cool. For me, it's a party trick. So you see what is going? You see all that? Did you see that? Let's do that again. These are the things that get me a bit. So I was reversing, reverse mode. All right, let's put it back in sport, max power. That time was okay. But you saw all that jitteriness. That does happen, and I can't answer why. It's really random. No big deal. I mean, if you drive an old carb bike, these things are pretty normal. You just don't quite expect it with a brand new bike or like a really modern thing. Let's try again. So I'm gonna go reverse. I think someone was saying hello to me there. Reverse, reverse, reverse. Drive mode, sports mode, let's chill for a little bit. Chilling. And I'm just gonna max throttle it. 3, 2, 1. No jitters that time. It's random. Oof. Ooh. So, what's causing that? Is that user error or is that the bike? These are just things where it confuses me. Is that me driving like an idiot, or is that the bike just being different? Let's try that again. So that was a hard U-turn. Brakes. I don't know, it's so sluggish. Try again. Watch my throttle. Ugh. I think what it is, I'm hitting the brakes, putting the power down, and expecting immediate power delivery, and that's throwing my balance off because the power delivery has that 1 second delay, and that's causing me to wobble off the bike. Do it again. People behind me. Come on, dude, just overtake me. Okay. Left indicator, brake, sharp turn, delay. Yeah, that's what it is. It's that 1 second delay causing me to... So again, fixable. Once you understand it, you can deal with it. But I've had to come and play with the bike to understand why I keep toppling off it when I'm going round corners slowly. It's because I'm hovering the brakes. That's causing a 1 second delay in the throttle, which is then causing me to lose balance. I'll do it again here. Brakes, turn around. I'm getting used to it, you see now. Anyway, these are all things which are fun to learn on a new model of bike. I've never done this. Let's charge this up for a new world of e-bikes. First of all, open the seats, 2 seconds. Got my power here. Typical, usual household setting where there's no available plugs, so just rip out a random one, plug it in, run the cable over. So I've hit my first snag. I don't know how to undo this. Okay, easy enough. It's just a flick. I like it. Solid as well, feels solid. And plug it in. I would love to spend one day and try and drive it for 280, get the other version and drive it to 280 kilometers. I'd love to see what happens. All right, thanks for watching.